We have a game of the year contender as we have the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Detroit Lions in Minnesota. This is your Week 7 2024 prediction and preview video. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Also hit the like button. Let's start off with the away team, the Detroit Lions. When you look at the Detroit Lions, this team has been rocking and rolling this season. They are coming off a very good win last week against the Dallas Cowboys for 47-9. But it did come with a huge casualty. Aiden Hutchinson will miss the remainder of this season as he's dealing with a brutal leg injury. Surgery was successful, and my prayers go out to him and to his family. I want to start off with the defensive side of things. They played amazing last week. They only allowed 9 points. That was it. But we've seen this defense be up and down this season, and even from last season. You have a lot of young defensive players in the secondary, and they played very well last week. They forced Dak Prescott to go out there. And they forced Dak Prescott to throw 2 interceptions, and they had 4 sacks on the day. You have to find a way to get pressure on Sam Darnold, whether it's by blitzing or just scheming up pressure. Aaron Glenn is a very good defensive coordinator, in my opinion, but this is going to be tough because Aiden Hutchinson had 7.5 sacks on the season. He leads the league in sacks. The second guy on this team that has the most sack production will be Liam McNeil at the defensive tackle position. Aiden Hutchinson has done so much for this team over the last 2 years. He was able to go out there and stop the run and be one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. I'm not saying that the Detroit Lions can't go out there and they can't contain the offense of the Minnesota Vikings, but it starts up front. You have to put pressure on Sam Darnold. I'm looking at guys now like James Houston, Liam McNeil, Josh Pascal, and also Malcolm Rodriguez as well. You don't have to go back there and just be sack hunters on the season, but just put pressure on the opposing quarterback to buy time for your secondary for some of those younger guys like Terrion Arnold. You also have Carlton Davis as well, who was in a very good matchup with DK Metcalf a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Football. You want to go out there, put a lot of pressure on Sam Darnold, and I would not play press man coverage in this game. You're going against Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. That may be the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. You have to find a way to go out there and match their intensity. But I look at the Detroit Lions. Don't count this team out just because they don't have Aiden Hutchinson. They have a head coach in Dan Campbell. He's one of those guys. He's known to be aggressive on both sides of the ball. I think the Detroit Lions are going to find a way to go out there and put a lot of pressure on Sam Darnold. They're going to contain the run game with Aaron Jones and crew as well if he's able to play in this game because he is questionable. He suffered an injury a couple weeks ago against the New York Jets in London. But I do believe that the Detroit Lions defense, they can step up in this game. So don't be shocked if they do. It's going to come down to those big bodies and also those guys in secondary as well. And pay attention to linebackers like Jack Campbell and also some guys in the secondary like Brian Branch, who are both in year number 2. When I look at the offense for the Detroit Lions, you have to go out there and win time of possession. And it starts with the run game. Jared Goff has been a very good quarterback this season. And I'm not saying this because at best he's a game manager. No, we've seen Jared Goff go out there and throw for 3 passing touchdowns in a game. But it starts with the run game. And it's going to be very fun to see Ben Johnson match up against a guy like Brian Flores, who is the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. And the same with Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, match up his skill set and his side of the ball against Kevin O'Connell. But when I look at the offense for the Detroit Lions, it starts with the trenches, just like defense. This is one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Run the football with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They have been able to do that on a consistent basis this season and last season as well. Jahmyr Gibbs had 63 rushing yards last week. He averaged 5 yards a carry. David Montgomery averaged 7 yards a carry last week, 2 rushing touchdowns, and he just got a contract extension as well. He had a huge play against the Seattle Seahawks in the receiving game. So pay attention to the running backs because majority of the success, it comes off the back of these running backs. And you also have those weapons on the outside. J-Mo and Jameson Williams has been an amazing deep threat this season. Every single game, he's been able to go out there and make a big time play. And he's doing something to distract the defenders to get guys open underneath. Yes, he only had 1 carry for 11 yards last week in the rushing department. But look at what he did in the receiving game. 3 catches, 76 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. And one of those receptions went for 37 receiving yards. He has become a main consistent threat with this offense now. You look at a guy like St. Brown. He isn't having the same season that he had last season, but he is still one of the better wide receivers in the NFL and one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. When I look at a guy like Sam Laporta, he's starting to get acclimated in the system as well. He started off slow this season, but we saw what he was able to do last week on a beautiful trick play. 1 catch, 52 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. You also have Tim Patrick as well. You have a bunch of weapons. Spread the football out, because I can guarantee you this right now. Brian Flores and Minnesota Vikings, they're going to blitz. And the best way to beat a blitz, by running screens, running the football, getting the football out quick, something Jared Goff and Ben Johnson have been great at doing the last 2 seasons. So I do believe that the Detroit Lions, they have a great shot at winning this game. Now let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings. It's been a while since we saw this team. The last time we saw them was in week 5 when they defeated the New York Jets in London. They won that game 23-17. I want to start off with the offense. Sam Darnold has been very good this season. Now, a couple weeks ago, the last time this team played, he was 14-31, 179 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. He got sacked 4 times. I know that this team is without Aiden Hutchinson, the Detroit Lions are, but the offensive line has to step up in this game. Give Sam Darnold time in the pocket, and Sam Darnold has to be patient. He started to force some throws against the New York Jets. Now, that's a top-tier defense in the NFL. Kevin O'Connell went out there and he made adjustments, and the offense did not look the same in the second half. That has been a major flaw with the Minnesota Vikings so far this season. They start off hot, then in the second half, they cool off a little bit. Be consistent. Play from the first quarter all the way to the fourth quarter. Aaron Jones, like I mentioned earlier, he's questionable for this game. That does bother me, because this is a completely different offense when he's out of the game. The offense looked very good against the New York Jets when he was in the game. But when he went down with that hip injury, everything started to spiral out of control. You also have Ty Chandler as well. Feed the running backs early on, then work off of play action. That is when Sam Darnold is at his best. And you also look at it from this standpoint. Make life easy for him. Do some screens to Jordan Addison and to Justin Jefferson as well. TJ Hockenson right now is out for this game. They're still waiting for him to come back, so pay attention to that. But you have Josh Oliver at the tight end position. I also look at Jalen as well. Jalen Naylor can take the top off the defense. You have Brandon Powell as well. They have a lot of good wide receivers on this roster, but do not get into a situation where you want to go out there and try to win a shootout against the Lions. Because Sam Darnold in the past, even though he has been a very good quarterback this season, he will go out there and he will throw some costly interceptions, like how he did against the Green Bay Packers. But the defense with the Minnesota Vikings did step up. So the key to victory for the Minnesota Vikings on the offensive end is run the football, play complementary football. Kevin O'Connell, do not go out there and get too comfortable with the pass game. Just because the Detroit Lions don't have their best pass rusher doesn't mean that Sam Darnold's going to have all day in the pocket. Aaron Glenn may go out there and he may blitz Sam Darnold. So try to lean off the run game, throw some screens, and get Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison some one-on-one looks with those corners in the secondary, and test out that secondary if need be. But do not put Sam Darnold into a situation to where it's 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 10. Get him in short yardage situations and make him feel comfortable early on, and keep your foot on the gas pedal. If you have a huge lead in the second half, don't go conservative. Go out there and keep the pressure on, because we saw what happened against the Green Bay Packers a couple weeks ago. They almost lost that football game because they got too conservative in the second half and they got too sloppy with the football. When I look at the defense for the Minnesota Vikings, it's easy. You have to go out there, play mistake-free football. Don't get too aggressive. We know that Brian Flores loves to blitz, but they have a lot of guys that can go out there and generate pressure up front. I will be careful with blitzing Jared Goff in this game. This is one of the top-tier offensive lines in the NFL. And the reason why I would be careful blitzing Jared Goff, we've seen Jared Goff go hot and cold in the past. He was very inconsistent. This season right here, except for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game when Ben Johnson made him throw the football for over 50 times in that game, he's been red hot against the blitz. So I'll be careful with that. But you do have a lot of guys up front, like Jonathan Grenard, can go out there. He can create his own pressure. Has 4 sacks on the season. Pat Jones leads the team in sacks. He has 5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. You also look at Andrew Van Ginkel. 2 pick sixes on the season. Pay attention to him and how he's going to try to defend the run as well. He's not just one of those guys that's just a coverage linebacker. He can put pressure on the quarterback as well. You may make the case that he's the best linebacker with this team. You also have Jerry Tillery and Harrison Phillips, 2 very good run stoppers. So the Minnesota Vikings are tailor-made to go out there and give the Detroit Lions a lot of problems. I'm not going to say they're built to go out there and beat the team and just blow them out, but they're built to go out there to stop the run and put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And also, let's give some respect to the secondary as well. This secondary has been lights out with Byron Murphy Jr., also Cameron Bynum at the free safety position, and Stephon Gilmore is still a top-tier cornerback in the NFL. But you look at all the weapons that the Detroit Lions have. Yes, they have St. Brown, they have Sam Laporta, but like I mentioned before, they're deep over there with wide receivers. So be careful how you guard those guys. Also, pay attention to motion. The Detroit Lions have one of the best motion offenses in the NFL because of Ben Johnson. I can't wait for this matchup because of all the different matchups we're going to see and all the chess pieces. You're going to have Brian Flores going against Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn going against Kevin O'Connell. Then, you're going to see Dan Campbell on the sideline going crazy as well. With that being said, this is going to be a very good football game, and this may be game of the year. I expect for this to be a shootout. With that being said, I do have the Minnesota Vikings staying undefeated. I have them winning this game. And I have the Minnesota Vikings winning this game 35-31. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this game? The Detroit Lions or the Minnesota Vikings? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.